Thank you for purchasing my pattern. Today we're going to be going over how to make the body, the head, the body, the ears, and the legs, and also the tail. So after you knit your 120 rows, here I'm going to show you how to sew off the ends. There's two different ways you can do this. I'm going to show you both ways. So you see there, you can see the stitches. Those are the ones that you're going to pick up. So using the crochet hook, I'm just grabbing those stitches, going from side to side, picking up one stitch and pulling it through. Pick up this side and pull it through, and then you just pick up the other side and pull it through. You're going to continue doing this all the way to the other side. So this method you're using the crochet hook. I am using a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook. And just remember that you're only picking up the stitches, is the first stitch that you see that's at the bottom of your waist yarn, if that makes sense. When you get to the end, just be sure to make sure you pick up all the stitches. Sometimes you can't see it because it's kind of buried in there, but just make sure that you pick up all of the stitches. So once you've picked up all the stitches, you're going to take your yarn tail and you're going to pull it through, and that's going to close off the stitch. It's going to seal it off or knot it off. So now you're going to remove the waist yarn. Before I finish removing that, I'm going to show you how to do the other step. This time I'm going to be using a yarn and a yarn needle. And I'm going to be grafting the ends. And so you want to take your yarn needle and you're going to go down and up. So I don't go into depths on how to do the grafting. There are a lot of videos on YouTube that shows you how to do grafting. But you just make sure you go back through the same stitch that you did prior to. So you go down and then you go up. You go down through the last stitch and then up through the next one next to it. And you're still picking up those same stitches. The one that you can see that is connected to the waist yarn. It's kind of hard to explain it, but again, there are a lot of videos on YouTube that you can watch to get more in-depth instruction on how to do grafting or how to seal off the tubes from a knitting machine. So here I'm just pulling it a little bit so I can add some length to my yarn tail. Sorry about that. I'm just going to continue doing this all the way down. Okay, so now that I'm at the end, I'm just going to tie the yarn that I used to sew and the yarn tail from the work piece, and I'm going to tie those together and then hide those inside the work. So here I'm removing the waist yarn. On this end, you have to remove the top row of the waist yarn, and then it will easily unravel after that. So there it goes. So you can choose to do either method. I just wanted to show you both ways of how to close it off. And again, you can find more videos on YouTube that's more in-depth to show how to do both methods. So the end that I'm going to use that's going to be showing when I double the work is the side that I did the grafting on with my yarn needle. So that is the side that you're going to see. Oh, and also in this video, you see that I'm using a different yarn than the yarn that is on the Black Kitty. It was because when I first started this project, I was going to use black yarn, and I remembered that I had this metallic yarn from I Love This Yarn, and so I had already started on the project. I had already started filming, and so I just continued with it instead of starting over. But the method is still the same, even though the yarn looks different. Later on in the video, you will get to see the I Love This Yarn metallic that I did use on the kitty. So now you're going to double your work. And just make sure that everything is lined up and the points are together. Oh, there it goes right there. Okay, so now get your stuffing and stuff the piece. I'm just going to, you don't want to overstuff it. I didn't want the kitty to look, I don't know, I guess too full, if that makes any sense. So just be mindful of how much you're putting in there. You don't want to put too little, but you also don't want to overfill it to where it looks poofy. I kind of wanted it to look full but slender. And so you can see I'm already starting to see how the ears are going to look. So I'm just going to continue stuffing here. So take your yarn and yarn needle, and as I'm doing here, I'm just kind of seeing where I want it to go. I ended up counting down 12 stitches, and that's where I insert my needle. So place your fingers the way I'm doing it here, and you're just going back and forth. You're going through back and forth, just taking your needle to the back and then back through the front. And you're going to do this all the way across. To kind of keep it in a straight line, you can keep your fingers there and just pass the needle above your fingers. Now turn it around and go back. So you're going to do the same thing, you're just going back through one more time. And once you reach the other side, you're just going to take your two yarn tails and you're going to tie them together. Tie a few knots and then hide the loose ends inside the work. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. Here's how it looks once you do your running stitch, make your head, and do your drawstring around the bottom to close off the bottom for the body. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to add the detail to the ear. So you just take your yarn, you're just going to be pulling your yarn through each side, just going from one side to the other, and you're going to do this all the way up till you get to where you want to stop, to where you like the look. So just take your needle through the ear and over to the other side, and just continue to do this. You want to kind of make sure that you are staying going in the same direction so that it looks uniformed. So just continue doing this, going back and forth. If you don't want it to show through the back, you can just put your needle through take it through the inside of the double layers. But I didn't mind it showing in the back. I thought it was cute that way, so I just continued to do it this way. And so once you're comfortable to where it is, take your yarn needles, and you're going to take your yarn to meet up with the other yarn tail so that you can tie them off. And then hide it inside the work. And this is how it looks. Okay, so the next step is the back legs. So the back legs, you're just going to pinch off with your hand, just pinch off a ball shape at the bottom of the body. And then you're going to make a running stitch around that area that you pinched off. So I'm just making a running stitch. You're just going to pick up every other stitch. And I'm going to do this all the way around. So just keep going all the way till you reach back to your other end, yarn tail end. Once you get back to the other side, you're going to pull tight and tie off the yarn tails. So just pull it. And then tie a few knots and then hide it inside the work. Hide the loose ends inside the work. Okay, so there you go. I wanted to show you how to add stuffing even though you've closed off. So you just find the opening where you clinched both ends, and you can use the back of your crochet hook to stuffing in there. So like if you realize that your back legs don't have enough stuffing in them, you can use this method to add more stuffing, and just use your hook to like move the stuffing around to like where you want it to go. Sometimes, you have to add more stuffing after you've tied everything off, and so this is a method that I use when I feel like I need to add more stuffing without having to take the whole piece apart. So I'm just going to hide the loose ends inside the work. There we have it, the back legs. Okay, so next I'm going to show you how to do the front legs. So after you knit your 30 rows, you're going to clinch each end. So I didn't show it in here for this one, but tie off the yarn end, and then you can just fold the yarn ends into the middle. So fold it in half like this. Take your yarn and your yarn needle, and you're going to use mattress stitching to stitch the side edges together. So first, I like to tie a knot, and then you can hide that piece inside the middle as well to hide it. So I'm going to mattress stitch about 1.5 inches or maybe 2 inches. So when you're mattress stitching, you're going to find the bar that's in between the stitches. Again, you can find videos on YouTube on how to do mattress stitching. But you go into the stitch and you're going to be able to pick up a bar. So take your stuffing and just stuff a lot of it. This is going to be the paw, the cat's paw or the kitty paw. So stuff a lot of stuffing in there. You want it to look like a little paw. Once you get the shape that you like, you can keep adding stuffing if you want. Just kind of play around with it until you get the look that you like. And now you're just going to add a little bit of stuffing to the rest of the leg. And continue mattress stitching all the way up. Once you reach the top, you're going to pull your yarn tail so that you can close off the seam, the invisible seam. And as you can see, it looks like a little paw. And I've already added one, so I'm just going to show you how to do this one. So just make sure that it's leveled to the table that you're working on. I'm going to make sure that the legs are leveled. And just take the yarn tail that you already have that's already attached. So when you do your mattress stitching, make sure you have a long piece of yarn when you're doing that. That way you can keep using it to sew it to the body. So I'm just using mattress stitching again to sew the leg to the body. And I'm just checking to make sure that it's leveled before I continue. So you're just going to pick up a stitch on the leg, and then you're going to pick up a stitch on the body, and you're just going to keep doing this all the way around. It's up to you how much of the leg that you want to be sewn to the body. You can leave some of it loose where the leg moves around. That's up to you. I decided to just sew about, I guess, about 1.5 inches. I'm just going to keep sewing down. So just pull your yarn as you're working. So now I'm going to take the needle through the leg and over to the other side. And now I'm going to sew up this side of the leg. So I'm doing the same method, picking up when you're going up, you're going to be picking up a bar on the leg and then picking up a bar on the body. So just keep sewing around. Again, you can always stop to check to make sure that the legs are leveled. When I get to the top, I'm going to tie off the yarn tail, and then I'm going to hide it inside the work. If you like, you can just stop here and leave the legs just like that, but I wanted to make the paws a little bit more defined. So I did a running stitch around, I guess you can say the ankle. So right at the top of where the paw would begin, just make a running stitch around there. First, take the yarn and the yarn needle through the body, and then through through the leg to start your running stitch. And just go all the way around. So now I'm going to take the needle back through the leg, back to the other side, so that my two yarn tails can meet so that I can tie them. So pull tight and tie them in a knot. And then hide them inside the work. So you just want to make sure that the yarn tail, when you first start, goes through the body first. So here I'm just showing you, how they look. You can decide how you want to leave it. Okay, so now we're going to start on the tail. So you're going to knit your 60 rows, and now you're going to clinch both ends, or each end. I'm going to tie a knot and then place the yarn tails inside just lay them in the center of the work piece. It's going to get folded up into the tail. So I have 12-inch pipe cleaners. So I have 3 of them. Just twist them together some, and then fold the ends. Fold the end down just like 1/2 inch, not a lot. You want it so that there isn't any sort of sharp edges sticking out of it. But just fold it down to where it fits perfectly, the perfect length of your workpiece. So lay it in the center and then fold your piece in half, and now you're going to start mattress stitching the side edges together. So the pipe cleaners is what's going to allow your tail to be shaped into whatever shape you want it to. You can make it look curly, you can make it look straight, you can have it up or down. So it gives your kitty some character. So I'm just going to do mattress stitching all the way down. Okay, so there it goes. It's all sewn up. And I'm just going to, since the piece of yarn that I used was very long, which I always recommend when you're doing mattress stitching, to use a long piece of yarn. So I'm just going to keep using the same yarn tail. So you can decide how you want your tail to go on there. I put my tail in the back, so about 3 inches maybe of it is going to be sewn across the back. And I'm just kind of figuring out how I want it to look. So as you can see, about 3 inches of the tail is laying across the back, starting from the center of the back. And here I'm just going to sew it onto the body. And it's the same way of how the legs were attached. So you're picking up bars on the tail, and then for this one on the body, you're going to be picking up a stitch. I don't go into full details on how to sew pieces together, but I know there's a lot of resources out there that can go into more details about sewing pieces together. Eventually, I do plan to make a video on all these different techniques and things. It's just a matter of finding the time, but I will get around to it, I promise. So I'm just going to keep doing this. When I get to the end there, I'm just going to take it around and then sew up the other side of the tail to the body. So here I'm just sewing down the bottom side of the tail. So I sewed across the top, and now I put my needle through to the other side so that I can sew the other side of the tail, the side that's closest to the bottom of the body. So you want to just sew around the tail, make sure that the whole thing is sewn onto the body. I apologize that a lot of this part is not in the camera, but I'm just continuing to sew the same way, sewing the tail to the body. And once I have sewn the whole both sides of the tail to the body, I just tie a knot and then hide the yarn tail inside the work. Okay, and there you have it. Now you can just, manipulate the tail however you want it. You can fold it or curl it, or you can move it all around, whatever suits you. So I'm just going to, put a little curl at the tip and call it a day. And that's it. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for supporting my small business. If you ever need any help at all, please, please, please don't hesitate to contact me. I am always here to help. I usually respond very quickly to messages, so if you need help, just let me know. I'm always here. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have fun making this black kitty. Till next time.